These 4 chord tricks are going to have you moving around the fretboard and playing rhythm parts like a pro. And the cool thing is, these tricks really aren't all that difficult to play. Let's check them out in this jam. Before we get started, if you haven't picked up the free Fretboard Toolkit yet, you should definitely do that. The toolkit is packed with lessons and resources to help you understand exactly what's going on in parts like the one that you just heard, so that you can play stuff like that freely on your guitar. You can pick it up at the link in the description. Now, let's dig in. There's a lot packed into just the first 2 bars of this. So let's take a look. The first chord trick happens right off the bat as I'm holding this G major bar chord, which really could happen anywhere on the neck, any key, but we're going to come at it from this example in G major, and we're going to do what I call the blues hammer. So instead of just playing the chord, we can embellish it slightly, something we do a lot in the blues, by starting with the minor version of this chord just by picking up the middle finger, right? We want that 3rd string to drop down to the note that's under the bar. That's the minor 3rd. You can hear this change from major to minor. We're not going to stick on that minor. We're just going to use it as a way to quickly hammer into the major. Just a way to make a cool statement entering the chord. And so that hammer on, to get it, you got to make sure you got a good bar here under the index finger. And then you got to make sure you hammer nice and clearly with, in this case, the middle finger up to the major 3rd, all right? And try to do it with a little bit of quickness, right? You could absolutely do it slower and kind of hang it out, but to me, especially in this jam, it sounds really good if we do it fast, right? And sort of the mate to that is where I do this chord collapse technique, where my fingers here, the little finger, which is really the finger that's getting the job done, but the ring finger comes along for the ride. They just kind of collapse at that first knuckle right there. And that allows me to fret strings 4 and 3 at the 5th fret, right? That's all that happens there. But it's a cool thing to do momentarily as you move back to that blues hammer. So we got the hammer, and then that little collapse followed by a hammer. And then this is the next chord trick that I want to show you. We're sliding into a chord change here. I'm sliding up on the 5th string from the D to the E. So that's the 7th fret to the 9th, but the target is really the bar at the 5th fret across strings 4, 3, and 2. Now, maybe you're familiar with this as being a C major triad, and if not, think about it like this. It's really just the top of a C bar chord, kind of a power chord shape, but we can stand out a little bit more just by playing those 3 notes, and it enables another cool chord trick. But let's just listen to this transition. All right, and there was that other chord trick. We get to do some of those cool Hendrix sounding hammer-ons, the double stop hammer-ons. So with this bar intact, I'm going to hammer up 2 frets. In this case, I'm working around the 5th fret and the 7th, but this works in different keys, right? So this is where my finger's planted, 5th fret here, and I can hammer up to the 7th fret on the 4th string. Sounds really good. To create just a little embellishment over this triad. I can do the same thing and incorporate the 3rd string as well, same fret. And of course, the E works as well on the 5th string. That's how we got here. Now, the key to this is you gotta have that bar in place, and when you hammer, you don't want to bump the other strings, right? Did you hear how that 3rd string kept ringing as I hammered? It didn't chop it out. That's not what we're looking for. We want that string that's underneath to keep ringing as well. And then we just kind of reverse that slide I did to get back to our big bar chord. But there's one other chord trick that I want to show you, and I call this one the Doobie Brothers trick because the first place I heard it was in Listen to the Music by them. And it's this idea, we'll move this bar up to the 7th fret here, and we're going to hammer on from 1 triad, 3-note chord. In this case, this is D, and we're going to hammer up into this shape. So along the 4th string, I'm going to skip a fret. So I'm going up 2 frets from 7 to 9. The 3rd string, nothing happens. But then on the 2nd string, I'm going to hammer up just 1 fret. And what we're really doing is changing between D, a D major triad, and then hammering up to a G major triad. There's the G, that's the root. It's a really cool move, and you can get really rhythmic things going here. What we did in this example was slide up to the D for sort of the B section of this example before coming up and finishing off that part of the progression with this idea, hammering on. And see how you can pull off and hammer on, much like you can do with those hammering double stops, you can do with this hammering triad or that Doobie Brother chord trick. Create some really cool options. Tricks like these really can take your rhythm chops to the next level, so you can do more than just strumming cowboy chords or chugging along with power chords. The thing is, in order to truly get the most from tricks like these, you need to know your fretboard, and that's why I put together the Fretboard Toolkit. You can grab it at the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Until then, practice smart and play on.